going on, DJ Nation? Kenny Kim here, bringing you another Fantasy Golf Degenerates podcast. This week for the Travelers Championship, as usual. I am here with everybody's favorite Canadian, Tyler Tamboline. Tyler, what is up, my friend?
Number 3 down. It's a good one. We'll talk about it. Wyndham Clark got the job done, Kenny. But before we get into it, I want to remind everyone very quickly, this show is brought to you and presented by PrizePicks.com. If you haven't yet done so, jump on over to PrizePicks.com. Use promo code MMN. Get yourself a 100% deposit bonus up to your first $100. Lots of stuff going on there. Picks, plays, all different ways. Check it out. PrizePicks.com. Use promo code MMN. Kenny, what do you think, man? I don't know what side you're going to be on. We got too many takes this week on the Twitter machine. Wyndham Clark getting the job done. Incredible. Emotion shown at the end. All that stuff we'll get into. But, Rory, similar to St. Andrews, couldn't find a putt down the stretch. Hit almost every green, it felt like. All those factors. But the weather, too easy. The course sucks. The course is amazing. We're fighting about everything on Twitter this week and in the golf space. What's your thoughts, man? Give me your take on this U.S. Open.
I mean, the course itself, it wasn't my favorite. But that doesn't mean it wasn't a good course. They had some holes that were pretty shitty, like the first hole, the last hole. They weren't great, but there's some fun holes in between. We're just not used to it. We thought it would play a little bit more difficult. They had that marine layer. If I say that one more time, I might shoot somebody. But that really did keep the scoring, pretty low the first couple of days, and it evened out a bit as the tournament went on. It's just the fact that what was it, 262s, a 63, some 64s, some 65. There's a lot of low scores that you just don't really see. And I don't know, there's probably like 30 guys, 25 to 30 guys under par. They finish under par. You don't really see that often either. Wyndham, great win for him. We talked about him. He was like, I think I said he was 6th in my model last week. I ended up not using him. I thought about it for a second. But I ended up not using him mostly because of his prior performances in majors. But as he spoke, he thought that the Wells Fargo was basically a major championship for him. He had the biggest win of his career on a tough major course. So he felt like, he had that experience already. And he said he would play cocky, play arrogant out there. And he was the only one with any balls on Sunday. Everyone else was just trying to have the leaders fall back to him, and it almost worked for Rory. When it comes to Rory, maybe a little bit too conservative on Sunday. The thing is, he was hitting a bunch of greens. He just couldn't make anything. Most of his putts were from 20 to 30 feet. He wasn't really getting it tight with his approaches. But, at a U.S. Open, 20, 30 feet, hitting that many greens, not the worst strategy in the world. You think if Wyndham is the guy in front of you, a guy with that little amount of major contending experience, you would expect him to go down, and he did a little bit. Wyndham was having the pull hookers, and not the fun kind. Basically on Sunday. Every miss he had was a pull hook. But he was going for it, and then his short game had some miraculous up and downs on that back nine to just to hang on, and it was a nice performance by him, but no one really pressured him except himself, if that makes any sense, on Sunday. And it's a shame that Roy was just a little bit too conservative. I don't think that was like the worst strategy in the world. Like 1 or 2 of those putts falls, he wins this event. But there was some mistakes, and then that 14, that cost him the tournament. He got the break, he got the drop, but he couldn't get it up and down from there, and that cost him right there. I think he missed another 3-4 footer on 8, which was another par 5. So he only went, even par on the par 5s. I think yesterday. So that's what's going to kill him. You have to get that score on those par 5s. What'd you think of the event?
Yeah, where to start? First of all, the tournament itself, I'm going to go in reverse because we're on that topic you just mentioned. I actually love what you said there, the part about Wyndham. Played to win, man. If you just watch that, he was going down. If he went down, he was going down hard. Like, he would have lost 6 to 8 strokes if shit went bad. It just didn't. He played really good golf. He was dialed in, but he was not playing conservative. He was playing to still win this thing. He was pulling the clubs. That, look, he's going out with a bang. He's winning it by 4 or 5. in this case, won, or falling back. It just, like you said, nobody could really make anything. Scheffler, again, could not make a putt down the stretch, cost me bigly in the main round 4 tournament yesterday. 6th and 8th place. I had Scheffler and Ricky both up there, 200K up top. That cost me, but Scheffler could not make a thing. Ricky could not make a thing. Ricky was more of the quote unquote choke than Rory for me. The thing you said about Rory's strategy, I think is so key though. Again, I actually don't think it's a bad strategy at all because it's a US Open. You're hoping a guy like Wyndham makes that mistake, but you know what could make a guy like Wyndham make that mistake is the crowd's roaring for Rory if he puts it to 5 feet and plants. I know it's golf, but honestly, you could see it. A lot of those shots, he was aiming the old Jack Nicklaus, the old Tiger Woods type of strategy of just hit those fairways, make your pars and move on, hope that the other guy makes the mistake. It's a risk you got to take. It almost worked. He had a shot. He put the pressure on enough that Wyndham had to make it down the stretch. My take is just that, like you said, I still think if he had played more like Wyndham and just went after it, like try and put that ball in the cup instead of just landing it in the perfect placement spots, you got to try and win one of these. You got to switch something up, man. Rory, every single time. And I know what people will say, St. Andrews, this one, if you play it a bunch more times.
St. Andrews was different though, because it was like minus 20 or something, you know, and say like, what was it when he scored? Like mid-teens on their par. Like it was a lot of birdies. That's the difference.
Which is funny because everyone said
he should have been more aggressive at the Open Championship.
Which is funny because that's the second point. Go ahead.
Yeah, here I don't mind. Here I didn't mind. Go ahead, Tim. I'm sorry.
No, I think the strategy is fine. I just think it's funny that you're not using that, but other people are saying it too. That what you just said. Well, I thought this course was so easy. Well, then there is birdies, but there wasn't. You're right. On Sunday there wasn't. He was just doing what he could. There was not a lot of birdies to be found out there, especially on that back 9. And that's the point I think is more interesting. Look, I don't care. I'm the Canadian in the bunch, so I'll say anything. Like it's for the US Open, and it's supposed to be this way, that way. I'm a huge golf fan. You don't have to like the course. I understand why some didn't. You don't have to like how it played out on day 1. I understand why some didn't. Bottom line, there was 18 guys actually under par, not 30. There was
really?
There was 9 guys 3 under or better. And if you watch the golf, like this is the most I watched all season, glued from Thursday through Sunday, every single shot almost, like I was dialed in to this. The shots that guys like Ricky Fowler and Xander were making on this Thursday were incredible. I don't care. Yes, the course was playing a bit easier and all these factors, but man, go watch it. Ricky had a stretch where there was the average putt distance was from like 28 feet, and he had 3 holes where the combined distance for his were 18 or something. Like it was just insane golf. Xander was popping in 43 footers, and I still understand it. I hear where certain people are coming from on it, and to each their own. I enjoy golf. I enjoyed the event. We got a great leaderboard down the stretch. The most boring part was just that, like you said, on Sunday, nobody could really make anything to make the juice, where you were like, this is exciting. This is going to happen. I honestly was not on the edge of my seat, even if a playoff was coming. It would have been, yes, extended golf. It would have been Rory in a playoff for a chance to get a major versus Wyndham Clark, who've been playing great all week, etc. But like, where was it? Scotty, Cam ran out of holes. Cam Smith, I'll say, he was a guy. Ricky did not have it. Like he just didn't. And he said it himself after, just the way it goes, man. Golf is tough. Rahm played like absolute garbage all weekend. T10. Like it's to me, that tells it too, by the way. Just finalize my thoughts and kick it back to you. Scheffler did the same old thing. Looked like he should have won by 10 or probably could have, and just third. Rahm, horrible to me. Like from what I watched, at least. Again, he's not horrible. It's John Rahm, but T10, it still played hard. These dudes, Rahm, Xander, Fleetwood, Scheffler, Rory, those guys that you find in the mix at these major championships, no matter what the course setup is, no matter what it is, they're always up there. DJ, Colin Morikawa, these guys in majors continue to show up. Brooks, really bad. T17, one of the guys under par at 1 under, made a big birdie on 18 at the last. It still was tough, man. Like it's still hard playing out there. The course wasn't for everybody, and I get it, but I enjoyed it. I had a great week watching it. I thought it was solid. We just move on to the next one. The Open will be exciting for me too, but I don't know what else you have to add. I thought it was
the course is the course. We haven't seen it ever. A lot of us were wrong about how difficult it was going to be playing, but not that wrong. I said 5 to 10 under. It was on the high end. I just didn't expect like 62s and 63s and stuff like that, because we did get a 63 on Sunday with Fleetwood. I think the most important part of Wyndham Clark's win that people aren't really talking about was that birdie on Saturday on 18 to get into the final group, to see what Rory and Scheffler. I mean, if you think about it, Ricky would have if Ricky did this, it would have been amazing. Just to be in his type of situation, not having a win in almost 5 years, to pull it off at a major, being in the final group. I expected both of those guys to falter a little bit, and our winner come from the Rory Scheffler group or something like that is what I figured was going to happen. But the big thing that Wyndham had an advantage was he was able to see all of Ricky and Rory, Scheffler and Rory shots in front of him. He knew how they were playing. And he could see them on the greens, not that many big roars. And that's another thing, the crowd not being there and you're not hearing like the humongous 25,000, 30, 40,000 people roars, that you normally hear at a US Open. For a guy who hasn't been in that situation, I think it was very, very nice to have that lack of crowd there. And that's some bullshit with the members buying up like basically half the general admission tickets so people wouldn't come and fuck up their course. That's that to me would be the reason why I wouldn't go back. It wouldn't
that
be
was
because
the worst.
of the course.
Cut you off, but that actually was the worst part. I mean, again, not like they gave them much to roar about. Like I said, if Rory had jammed it in a few times, a little bit closer, sure. But like you said, that definitely was one of the things that irked me a little bit about it, because I think that took some of the juice out of it for me. Not the whole course, not the setup, all just like where was it? It just felt like all weekend it wasn't there, or all week really, but especially on the weekend when it matters most. I agree with you on that 100%.
Yeah. I think that would be the main reason why I don't think it's scheduled for 2039 right now. So I mean,
far away.
You think that's far away, but it's like as fast. I was reading something on Twitter today about the Battle of the Bastards on Game of Thrones. Mm-hmm. That was 7 years ago today. 7 years ago. It felt like I watched it like 2 weeks ago. What's up?
You think we'll be doing the pod in 2039? You and I?
I don't know. I doubt it. I doubt it. If I'm alive in 2039,
yes, that was my at that fucking point in time. One follow-up question.
Yeah.
What might be the reason we're not doing the pod in 2039?
Death. Basically that would be the biggest thing right there. That would be why it would happen. Because I have to admit, the last couple of years I was like, how much longer I'm gonna do this, but I don't know. With the designated events and this year, it's been a lot of fun. I don't see myself stopping anytime soon. But 2039 just seems, it's too far away. It's too far away. But and so. Overall, I mean, it was a fun event. I mean, it's a new course. We get to see different types of courses. It wasn't the same old, at least, that we've seen year in and year out for US Open. That's just, narrow fairways, thick rough, bomb it out there, hit a wedge. But that's hard because the rough is 5 inches thick. I mean, both those types of courses, the one we saw this past weekend and the one I just spoke about, they both have issues. There's no perfect course, and so could they have made it a little bit more difficult? Because from what I heard on 18 on Wyndham's tee shot, that the area that he landed in is normally rough, is normally heavy rough at that area where he landed his ball, but they shaved it down to make it fairway for this event. I don't know why. That was an Andy Lack thing. He told you, if you follow Andy, he was talking about that, and so I don't know. It was a fun event to watch. The problem I have with it is the telecast, and it's not necessarily the main telecast, because that shit's never going to change. Because when it comes to major championships, they cater to the casuals. That's just the way it's going to be for the main broadcast. It's never going to change. You're just going to see the most popular players in the last 4 groups. And that's who you're going to see play on your TV on the main feed. The problem I have is the featured groups. Like, why make a featured group where you're going to see 85% of all their shots on the main feed? That doesn't make any sense to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the point of having the featured groups if you're going to see 85%? I mean, you have 12 players you can watch a day. The first 2 days, 6 in the morning, 6 in the afternoon. Like, okay, the morning coverage is great because there's no TV on. So that's wonderful. Okay. But the afternoon coverage, Like, why are you showing the guys that I'm going to be seeing on the main feed? Like, I had the 3 TV setup, main feed, 2 featured groups, but I'm just seeing the same shots from the featured groups that I'm seeing on my main TV. That seems like a redundant and seems stupid. That's one thing I would like to change. That's my gripe about the telecast, and there's plenty of gripes about the telecast because that last hour and a half of coverage was really good. Like when there's no commercials and you just watch golfers playing golf for an hour and a half straight, that's how golf needs to be watched, I think, to actually have a true growth in fan base. Because it's literally a different type of viewing experience. It's amazing. You just flip from back, you hear the caddies, you get the analysis from the commentators. Azinger horrible, but but the thing is, like, at least there's like a big flow to everything. It's smooth, it's flow, and it's fun to watch, even if you didn't like golf. Like, if you watch that last hour and a half with no commercials, you can enjoy it, you can respect it. But the other thing, having 8 billion commercials, I mean, they have to, I guess, because it's the only way to make their money. But there's got to be a way, like football, like soccer, right? Like, have these sponsors just take hour blocks and pay for hour blocks. You got, like, a lot of these sponsors are running like 20 of the same ads in the same telecast, right? So on this, just make it an hour and just be like, this is for or sponsored by whatever, and the last 2 minutes of every hour just have a 2-minute commercial for that product. That's what needs to change. That's what really needs to change for the casuals to really get into it, because that was a really great viewing experience without any commercials.
Minus Azinger. You can't spell Thomas without Homa. And the Thomas cast, if you put it together, they were trying to get together on Twitter. They were having some wine. They said he did get a little clip of Max Homa, who predicted Wyndham Clark at exactly 10 under. I know it was already 9 or 10 holes deep at that point, maybe even 12 holes, but still, he called the exact result in the end. But either way, if they had that on there, Azinger was the worst I've ever heard him calling stuff that was the opposite. And that's just standard Azinger, though, so not much you can do about it. But either way, I'm with you on the no commercial. Shout out Rolex. Getting the job done. They took care of us for that matter. But yeah, not much else to say. The only other thing, just you said it there, like this, even on the last day, even 3 under, 7 under, 5 over, 2 over, 2 over, 2 over, 5 under. That is the one nice thing about a course like this. And it was since day one. And again, another guy, Michael Kim, been hot on these Twitter takes lately. He called it originally at 10.5 before the tournament started. He did go change it. He amended it to 8.5. But still, 2 guys beat that. Scheffler was 7 under. After that's Rory at 9, Wyndham at 10. He said it would be 10.5 in his original tweet. He said there'd be a 62 out there on Thursday. His wording was basically exactly that. He said there's a 62 to 64 out there tomorrow, and then we'll see how it goes. And after that, he predicted that score. So really, it played out exactly as a pro golfer who's won on the tour and has his own stuff in the past before sucking and winning and all that said that it would play out. And I love his stuff on Twitter. I like him a lot more there than in my DFS lineups usually, but in general,
he's been playing all right this year. He's been playing all right this year.
Yeah, he's fine. I'm just saying,
I scooped him on my season. I scooped him on my season long team. I beat PGA Tout this week. He was in first place, so I'm in second place. I'm playing with a bunch of guys like Andy Lack and Steve Shermer and Brian Kirshner and some other guys I'm in the league with. And so I'm in second place in that league. Let's give Wyndham a little bit more credit before we move on. For him to do what he did, it's not like he's young. It's not like he's new to the tour. He's been on the tour for like 5-6 years. He's always been a journeyman. We've always known him as a bomber who can putt. That's just been his thing, and his Achilles heel has been his iron game. And this year he's obviously made a big strides in trying to improve that iron game, which he did. So kudos to him, because you don't really see that often. A guy coming in almost 30 years old, been on the tour 5, 6, 7 years, and then he starts winning. That's pretty rare. You don't see that often. So he had to have put his work in. So kudos to Wyndham Clark. Great victory by him. I blame myself and I blame Tim because once Tim had him as his gold pick, then I was like, okay, I'm not even gonna look at him anymore. And that's usually played off pretty well for like the last 3 or 4 years. This week, not so much. Anything else before we move on?
Yeah, the club draw on 18 on Saturday.
Oh my God, I was so sick.
Yeah, that's
So
the last
sick.
thing to give him credit for. That was probably one of the nicest things he did
It
all
was
week.
so smooth, like the
tournament.
one finger just the one finger zip. That was nice. That was some smooth shit. All right, so let's talk about our listener league. Tambo, why don't you talk about a listener league while I pull up the winner from last week?
Yeah, sure. First of all, shout out to Degenerate Nation. Appreciate you guys, all the support. We got 2,000 filled. So our guy Beers here. I did look back, Kenny. We lied to the people, but it's okay. I don't know the exact results of that one, but one time we did have 2,500 for a Masters that you and I both forgot about. So we have got it higher.
Did we fill it?
I can't go back and find the exact link to it. I just saw on Twitter. It wouldn't let me load it. So because it says this contest has already started, couldn't see the details. But that made me talk to my rep and be like, we got to get back to 2,500 for the Open. Just get it to me earlier, and I promise we'll fill it. So fingers crossed, there's hope that we may tie. I'm going to ask for 2,501, actually, maybe 2,600 or just something to give us a little extra nudge. But one thing I do want to apologize about, it came out late. We still got it filled. Appreciate that. The apology would be more so for there was some complaints about the structure. I didn't love it either. It gave a nice payout to first. It gave the 10% of first to 10th, but it only paid like 10 or 11, just to have over 10%. We usually like it to be 15% or more. Again, not much we can do, and the link came out late, so we weren't going to hold back and say, by the way, can you fix this for us when we're already behind on what's a 2,000 person listener league? And if we want them to fill up and if we want them to get bigger in the future, the goal is always just fill that puppy up and see what happens. You play to win the game. Anyway, we play to ship it, as we say. So shout out to Beers here, who got the job done. Hit us up on Twitter today, said Boomin. Guy just absolutely crushed the field. 529.5 to 487.5. Go ahead, Kenny.
Shout out to Julio Nation, who last week destroyed both of us by like 100 points.
He hit me up in the Discord today, and I said, buddy, enjoy your cheeseburger money. Remember, I'm glad that's all it is, because we got absolutely crushed.
Yeah, we got smoked by Julio Nation. So
careful though, because he said he's coming for head-to-heads. I said I haven't played those in 5+ years, but you can get Kenny's if you want. Yeah, so
I don't play head-to-heads either. All right. So Beers here with some type of emblem, looks like a golf course emblem as his avatar. He had Rory, 15% owned, of course, finished in second. Xander finished 10th, 23% owned. Fleetwood with the 63 on Sunday finished in 5th, 10% owned. Ooh, excuse me. Bryson, who had an each way on, really screwed me on Sunday. He's 13% owned. He finished in 20th. Fowler finished 5th, 20% owned, and Wyndham Clark, who was 11% owned. Of course, he won the event. Tambo, what you think?
Yeah, very, very solid lineup. Like you said, just looking at it, a couple guys 20% up. When you talk about Fowler, Fowler's 19.9, but he's in around that range. Couple guys in the mid tiers like Bryson 12.6, Rory 14.9, and then two guys just under 10 or right at around it, right? You had Fleetwood at 9.8 and then Wyndham at 10.7. So close enough. They're good setup from a roster construction standpoint. 2 9Ks, 4 7Ks, which again, I think the starting was pretty standard. It was just, were they going to go to all these guys? And the Chalk did have a bit of a better week, but it's interesting because he has this lineup. I can't look it up right now while we're recording, but somebody tagged me on Twitter and I just quote tweeted it out and said they said they used the tidbits, which had like 19 guys in it or something, built a very simple lineup like this, put it all together. And they also shipped for $7,500 or something. And they said, that's, I just used your tidbits and built a lineup that made sense. It had Theegala instead of Bryson. And so I honestly think they were the same price. I actually think it's the same lineup if we go look, because this is Rory, Xander, Fleetwood, Bryson, Ricky, Clark. I think they went with Theegala over DeChambeau for the same money and ended up getting the job done. So again, shout out to Beers here. Solid
this
lineup.
Would have finished 5th in the $5.
Nice.
Beers here's lineup. So really, really, really strong lineup by him. I was trying to think of something. I'll remember it later. Let's move on to the course for this week. The PGA Tour moves to Cromwell, Connecticut for the Travelers Championship from TPC River Highlands. Field strong. I wouldn't worry too much about potential weariness after playing the U.S. Open, as there have been a few recent winners who have performed well at the U.S. Open and have played well again at the Travelers. I mean, if you look at the last 3 years since it moved to the week after the U.S. Open, the winners finished 14th at the U.S. Open, third and fourth or something like that. Like all three of them finished top 15 at the U.S. Open, the guys who've won this event the last 3 years. So I wouldn't stress any U.S. Open fatigue or anything like that this week. I also wouldn't worry about golfers that have like missed a cut last week at the U.S. Open. I think 4 of the last 10 winners here missed a cut at the event prior to this. So, that's how you go about it. I wouldn't worry too much about U.S. Open results that much, except that they did well. They did well, which, a lot of my guys that I'm going at this week, had really strong iron games last week, and I'll be keen on that. Normally this course doesn't just favor long hitters. There was a playoff in 2010 with like Bubba, Corey Pavin, and Scott Verplank, and Bubba's like one of the longest on tour. Verplank is like medium, and Corey Pavin is like one of the shortest golfers on tour. All 3 of them were in a playoff together at this course in 2010. Like Ken Duke fucking won this event. Russell Knox won. Ches Reeves won. Jim Furyk shot a fucking 58 at this event. So you don't have to be long. Now, there's a bunch of, elite bombers out there, and we could see a lot more of them on top of the leaderboard just because their skill level is so high. This doesn't mean, of course, short hitters can't contend or even win, just with that list of players I just talked about previously. Now, accuracy off the tee, solid around the green game, that's probably going to be needed but this week. But the most agreed, this is still a second shot course, and looking at golfers that excel at approach shots should be the way to go. If you're targeting longer hitters, I'd focus on golfers who are good from like 125 to 150 yards. If you're looking at average to shorter hitters, I'd look at proximity from 150 to 175. I'd also look strongly at green and regulation stats for both types of players. Golfers with strong green and regulation stats coming into the event have had success here into the past. One other thing about this event is that most of the time the morning wave has an advantage due to softer conditions and smoother greens. The heat can bake out the greens, and the POA in the greens can make for a bumpy road in the afternoon. This is something to think about, first round leader, showdown plays, a couple of trends going into this. Like I said, 4 of the last 10 winners were coming off missed cuts. 7 of the last 9 winners had posted at least a top 30 in a previous year at TPC River Highlands prior to their win. Now let's get to the meat of the course here. TPC River Highlands, 6,850 yard par 70 Pete Dye redesigned course. I think Pete Dye redesigned this course in 1982. 2 par 5s, 4 par 3s. The par 5, 6 is the longest of the 2 par 5s, but will still be reachable by the big hitters. The par 5 13th, much shorter, and almost all the golfers will be able to reach in 2. The par 4 15th, very short par 4, under 300 yards. We're going to see some golfers, trying to reach the green on a tee shot there. All 3 of these holes have close to a 40% birdie or better percentage. So if golfers par any of these 3 holes, they're going to be losing strokes to the field. As being a par 70 course, par 4 play, definitely going to be important with the previous winners all doing well on the 48 par 4s for the week. Golfers see average size fairways off the tee that get substantially more narrow after the 300-yard mark. Bunkers and trees will be in play if they missed a short grass. These fairways are some of the easiest to hit on tour, as nearly 70% of all tee shots find the fairway. But as we saw with Bubba winning, a few years back, while only hitting 50% of the fairways, you can get away with missing the short grass, especially if you have length off the tee and aren't missing wildly. If golfers do miss a fairway, the first cut of rough, not too bad. And very playable. But the further the golfer misses the fairway by, the thicker and taller the rough is going to get, like 4 to 5 inches at some point when on those, the farther away you get from the fairway. Unlike other events of tall, thick rough, the greens at TPC River Highlands usually a little bit more softer and receptive, so it won't be a total disaster if golfers missed a fairway. And since the course is so short, they should be hitting their approaches with a short iron anyways. The greens are slightly below average in size, except the long par 3s. With a bit of slope, and a lot of them are elevated and crowned along the edges. They are tiered as well. There is not too much undulation, though, on these greens, but they usually put the pin in a place where there is some slope, so they don't have golfers shooting -30 for the week if conditions are soft. They also put pin locations in very close proximity to the edge of the green, so golfers can have tricky chip shots if they short side themselves. Scrambling from the rough is actually pretty difficult here. at TPC River Highlands. It annually ranks in the top 10 hardest courses on tour when it comes to chipping from the rough. Even though the greens are small, nearly 67% of approach shots still find the green, which is above the tour average. So even with the previous stat, I wouldn't put a ton of emphasis on short game. Now, if golfers miss the green, they're going to have to deal with collection areas, thick rough, water, and numerous bunkers. The greens use a POA bentgrass blend. Average in speed, Stimpmeter reading over somewhere in between 11 and 12. Water is in play on about a third of the holes, including a huge pond that surrounds holes 15, 16, and 17. Tambo, what are you looking for in golfers this week?
Yeah, you talked about a lot of the stats. I do, again, the Bubba thing is interesting, but I still weigh the fairway as an important stat here. I look at it from that perspective. And then also the 125, 175 range, talk about the par 4 scoring, things like that, birdies, they're still out there. So, basically all the same stuff. The difference is, like I said, with the designated event, last year, obviously Xander came out, get the win. There's other guys that were here, but some of the situations last year were different too. Like Ricky was playing way worse. He misses the cut. Jason Day, basically non-existent this time last year. He misses the cut. Now these guys are playing better. So be a lot to talk about it when we get into the tiers, but I think that's going to be the biggest factor. I like that you brought up the strategy piece for first round leaders. And for that, I think, again, it can still weigh in. We'll wait and see how the weather looks when we get closer, but PM/AM can still have that advantage. I talked about it last week. It didn't play out fully because guys at the top made it through, but it's just a way to naturally get different in some cases. There ended up being a big wave advantage there, just with some of the guys from the AM still came through and made it up the board. So it's the way it goes. But here, like you said, if you can grind through that, and then, the afternoon is going to be tougher on day one, but if you get the morning a little bit lighter, get out there, make the cut, then find out what they do over the weekend. I never hate that strategy as well. So just a little bit of something for this week.
Yeah, depending on the tee boxes, like 7 to 8 holes are going to be playing from 400 to 450 yards. So you can look at, par 4 efficiency from that range. That'll be something else to maybe look at. But let's get to these tiers for this event. We got in the 10K range. My computer's not working. What do we have? Like Cantlay up to Scheffler, correct?
Yeah, Cantlay, Xander, Rahm, Rory, Scheffler is the order from the bottom up.
How you going about it this week, Tambo?
Right back to Scheffler. I know that much. This guy, don't care, coming off that. Again, it's just continuous. I think he's just we know in the zone he's in. I don't mean it like that. That's the obvious. I'm saying, but I think it's just a matter. It is just a matter of time. Like he's not phased at all. I know people worried, he's testing this new putter. He's checking things out before the tournament started and all that. At the end of the day, he's still doing the same thing. He's coming through. The ball striking's on. It's is what it is. I'm just playing him, finding ways to get different elsewhere. You could start with him. Rahm, going to continue to play him. He's another guy, like I said, just really didn't do much and still was right in the mix. I like him. And I actually like Cantlay over X. So that's kind of the three that I'm on up top. The Rory thing is interesting. It really has nothing to do with the result last week. Actually, I was just looking it up. If you go back and look, there's plenty of events where, missed the cut at the Masters in 2021, goes out and wins the Wells Fargo his next time out, but it wasn't the next week. So it's little things like this you have to look at. But there was a couple others I was looking at anyway, where it was, second, then fifth, or fifth, then 19th. Just last year was the US Open leading into this one. So 19th, probably not going to cut it, but just in general, we've seen where Rory just, takes his lumps and then moves on to the next one and can find his way up the board. So I wouldn't hate going to Rory in your tournaments, but I just think in general, it's the other three, but Scheffler, Rahm, and a little bit of Cantlay.
I'm really interested in the ownership here. Do you think Rahm could get squeezed?
Definitely possible. Well, I don't know. I feel like Rory gets squeezed.
I don't know. I think Rory has probably the best course history out of the top 3 guys.
Yeah.
He has the best top, and he's coming off basically back-to-back runner-ups. I know 2 weeks ago or last time, I don't know, he finished runner-up, but he was, up there in the lead going into Sunday, basically back-to-back events. I mean, the guy is playing, really well. I'm playing Scheffler because I agree with you. I think at some point in time, Scheffler is going to win an event by like 5 or 6 strokes. Just fucking demolish the field.
The way he's playing.
Yeah. I just feel like that's going to happen. Like, I wouldn't be pissed at people who just bet Scheffler for the rest of the season until he wins. Like, and make that your only bet of the week, because he's going to pick off 1, maybe 2 events. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't hate that play. I thought about it for a second today. I was like, should I just bet Scheffler again? That's not the way I'm going about it, but I'm going to play him at DFS because, like I said, at some point in time, and last week his putter was better. He missed a lot of shorties towards the end of round, like in the middle of round 4. And that's where, a lot of people saw, and they keep thinking it's the same old Scheffler, but he gained strokes putting for the week. His ball striking just wasn't as good as it normally was. Still good, but not like from the visual eye test, you could see he was missing a lot of greens where he probably shouldn't have missed. And so, that wasn't there, but but his putting was getting better. So at some point in time, all those are going to combine, and he's going to win an event by 5, 6, 7 strokes.
People are playing Scheffler no matter what, but regardless of who gets squeezed there, I'm playing Rahm. I can tell you that.
Okay. I can't lay my cash game cornerstone at 10-2. Really good weekend at the US Open. Freaking got me. We had a bet on the E9 podcast this past week. Hovland, I had Hovland and Cantley. Thought I was looking good. I thought Cantley was going to miss a cut. That's Cantley's thing, right? He makes the cut on the number of the major, and then just the weekend just gradually goes up. But I think he's played this course a bunch. It's never really finished outside the top 15. So I think the floor is very high, and he has upside. It's Patrick Cantlay. So I'm going to go ahead and start with him, and I'm going to play Rory or Rahm. If the ownership I see is even, I think I might just go Rahm anyways, because one big thing about what Rahm said after his round on Sunday, it was his best round. He played well. He scored well. I think he shot 65, right? 64 or 65, 66, something like that in the final round. After the round, he said he found something in his ball striking. His ball striking had been a little bit off. And he said it clicked for him on that Sunday. And so, guys who, of that ilk, of that talent, when they say that they found something, I tend to believe them. And so I think I'm going to have to go Rahm, but I mean, if Rory's 10% owned, I might have to switch it, or I might have to play a 4 and then redo who I play in the 9K range. That could be something I do as well. So as of now, I'm playing Rahm, but we'll see once the ownership comes out and how close they are, because if Rahm's a lot more than Rory, then maybe I go Rory. Well, we'll have to see how that plays out. Let's move to the 9K range. My second cash game cornerstone. I'm trying to remember who the fuck it was. I think it was Tommy Fleetwood, if I'm not mistaken. Was it Fleetwood? All right, so yeah, I'm going Tommy. 3 straight, he should have won a few weeks ago. He had a 63, his second 63 ever at a US Open, which is insane. The only human in the world to have 2 63s at a US Open. And I'm going with it. I mean, the iron game is fine. All his stats, are very, very good. He's really good on those 400 to 450 yard par 4s. So I'm going to go with Tommy. I like him. He's going to be my second cash game cornerstone. I really like Morikawa this week. Again, he flashed a little bit on Saturday, got up to like 4 under. 4 or 5 under on Saturday before he fell back a little bit. Three rounds in the 60s at a US Open. I know it wasn't the hardest US Open, but that's still something to go on. His iron game, of course, still the strongest part of his game. So I really like Morikawa this week. I think he has a chance to break out of his slump, and get another victory. I bet him at 25-1. I thought the number was very, very fair. 25-1. So I'm going to go ahead. I like him a lot. And then I'm not sure who I'm going to play between Hovland and Finau. Who do you like between those two, Tambo?
Probably Hovland, just because going back to him. But one thing's for certain, a couple things actually, is that, going back to this range, you talked about the up top. You can make whatever case about Finau getting wins and Hovland winning recently in a big boy event, Fleetwood playing so good, and Wyndham just winning the major. But to me, this range is not like the top. The top is Scotty, Rory, Jon Rahm, Xander, Cantlay. This is just, it is, everyone has to be priced somewhere, but it does feel like quite the drop off. And even when we get to the 8K range, you'll almost be able to say it again, because then it's almost, then it's Homa, Thomas, Sungjae, Hideki, guys that will pop, but what do they do for you at these prices? So that is the one factor right now for me. Just looking at it, I've got Hovland over Finau there. But, Morikawa is the guy that popped to me. I think people are going to stick with Fleetwood for good reason. You talked about him in Canada and then coming back out and getting the job done here. The ball striking on Sunday, obviously incredible. Rahm was right up there with him. So was Jordan Smith, who was way down the board, 6,600 in Showdown yesterday. Most don't even know who he is. So shout out our guy Baroff, his boy, Jordan Smith, came through with the second in approach yesterday. But just going to this range, Morikawa, pretty good for back spasms, Kenny. 4 days of gaining on approach. The last 3, I think he got better each day or very good across the board. I think the first day was his worst day. So from there, pretty solid. Seems to be feeling better. He pops really heavily for me in this range. So Hovland, Morikawa, and then I'm going to stick with Ricky. See again how the ownership all shakes out. I don't know how heavy I'll be in here, but Ricky is another guy that just continues to play well. And he is another guy that also is in a pretty good place. You talked about Rahm's quotes and things he said after the round. Ricky just said he didn't have it on Sunday. He admitted it, but he also said Saturday night that he's been in bad places. Like he knows what it's like to be in a tough spot. Whatever happens, happens. I just don't think he's as fazed by it as everyone. Again, does he want him in a major? Absolutely. He definitely does. That's why he's continuing to play in them. But like he said things on the weekend, like others would just have hung it up. Basically saying he was in that bad of a mental state that he's like, I think others would have hung up the game and just moved on. Like that's obviously things were very, very bad. And we saw it on the course that it was bad and not going well. That was another, side joke here that just somebody brought up is that Smiley literally right out of the league, like gone on TV announcing for the U.S. Open or commentating for the U.S. Open. Ricky completely downhill for years. Spieth often, it was bad for a period, but he was still showing up at certain majors and at the Masters. And we were saying that as we were doing shows. I remember where I was like, well, Spieth at least still showed up at the places you might think he would, but overall very bad. Came back out of it. Now, the fourth and final member of the old SBK, the spring break crew, the guy, Justin Thomas, fell off, man. It's been really bad. The majors, all that stuff.
Do you think we should change our theme song then? Because our theme song, our intro song is from the spring break crew. 2016 SBK, 2016.
What was it, like SB2K? I think it was, right?
SB2K 16 or something like that. That was when all those guys, JT, Smiley Coffin, Spieth, and Fowler went to Bermuda, Bahamas, come on, Pretty Mama, Key Largo, Montego, baby, why don't we go? Some shit like that, you know what I'm saying? Like they went somewhere out there, play golf like with no shoes on, and that Jordan Belfort song was like their song for the week. Like every time you saw an Instagram video or a Snapchat video from them, that song was in the background. That's where we stole that song from. We actually got permission from the dudes to use that as our intro song. So I don't know. Maybe we should change it. Everyone's fucking up.
No,
maybe
I tell you this. I think there might be like, at least a couple thousand listens that come from just checking out the intro song and then moving on. People love hearing it. So
just move on after that.
We can't change the intro song. But also, by the way, poor Smiley, not only out of the PGA and having to do commentary, but the talks of the other three, Thomas, Spieth, and Ricky, buying a former Premier League football team, if you will, soccer team in America. But, saying it that way, Smiley got cut out of the deal. Maybe it's because he doesn't have the coin, I guess, too, might be part of it. But
speaking of soccer, we whooped y'all's ass yesterday. Go USA. Go USA. The CONCACAF finals. We whooped up on the Canadians yesterday, so that was nice. So we'll see how it goes. It's going to be funny because when we go to the President's Cup next year, we're actually going to be rooting for the same people because I'm Team International, baby.
That's the best.
So
I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm Team International, baby. I got to root my Koreans on. I'm going to go out there with like a traditional Korean like hanbok, which is like this Korean garb that's like silk and like shiny, and it looks like from like the 1800s with like a South Korean bandana and like a picture of Sungjae on my chest or some shit like that. Like that's how that's gonna work. All right, another guy, Tom, looked pretty fucking good. We'll talk about him in a sec. Let's move on to this 8K to this 8K range. My favorite play in the whole field, Hideki Matsuyama. 8,600. The guy's gained 20 strokes of his irons in the last 4 events, almost 30 strokes tee to green in his last 4 events. This guy, his iron play was immaculate last week, right? But he lost like 6 strokes putting. And now he's going to POA, which is, POA's it's Poa blend, but when it comes to Poa, it is his best putting surface. Okay, the guy's been on fire with his irons. He'll be my highest owned. I bet him at 35-1. The way I'm going to go about my lineups now, after thinking about it a little bit more, is Hideki will be like 40-45% owned for me, and then I'll do 30-30-30 on Scheffler, Rory, Ron, and try and go with one of those three guys winning, pair him up with Hideki, and then moving on from there. That's going to be a lot of my lineups. I think a lot of my Scheffler lineups will be Hideki, just because that's the way it's going to pan out with the highest price guy not being able to get into the 9K range a bit. So I'm guessing Scheffler, Hideki will be my biggest, most popular two-man play going in to this week. I love him this week. I think he wins the event. I think this is his week. I'm going with Hideki Matsuyama, my favorite play, my favorite bet, all my highest owned, all the marbles on Decky this week. Now, my third cash game cornerstone, though, is not Decky. The only issue I have with Decky is no course history, really. I think he's played this course has he played this course before? I don't even know, like maybe once or twice. But course history is not really there. And this is a pretty heavy course history course. I think it's like 7th most correlating between positive finish and course history.
But can we throw that out when you add the stronger field? I know like last year was still solid, but I'm saying, can you take it away from them some when that happens? I think that's a thing that you can bring up. So go ahead.
Yes, I agree. But I do like Thigala. The guy just makes cuts. He hasn't missed a cut since the fall. It's been like 17, 18 events in a row. He's made the cut. And then he has upside because he finished, second here last year, right? So give me high floor, high ceiling for cash every day. Now watch him miss the cut, but whatever. You go into this thinking one way. You don't want to be too results oriented, but that's what the fuck this is about. But that's the way I feel. I feel like he's going to make the cut. He a high floor, high upside play, just like Tommy, just like Cantlay, and that's what I'm going to do for my cash. And my last one in the 7K range is straight course history. So you guys probably know who that is already. All right. So another guy I like Tom Kim. His life it's back. It seems like he had that smile. It seemed like he was enjoying himself. You saw he was on the featured group either Saturday or Sunday. I can't really remember. Oh, he was with Bryson. It was Bryson and Tom Kim in the featured group. And it was really fun watching that because just two opposites trying to play the game. One guy hitting it like 380 yards. One guy just punching it out there like 280 and playing it that way. But this course seems very, very well suited for Tom. I do like him. I got him at 50-1. So who do you like in this 8K range?
Well, that was the thing off the top. Your segue was not as good as it should have been. This is all your Korean brethren. In here, you got Sungjae, you got Tom, and you got Siwoo. This should be the Asian games, calling them up and say, it's simple, boys. 2 out of 3, get in. Travelers results only. Have fun. Like, imagine how much fun that would be, just sitting there back.
Well, here's the thing. Sungjae seems like he should fit this course, but he's playing like straight garbage.
Yeah, I know.
So that's tough. It's tough that he'll be super low owned.
Isn't it so crazy? He's $100 more than Decky, and people are playing Decky after the stats of last week, how good he sets up for this week, everything, and somehow it's going to be Sungjae. You can just already tell. Like, I don't know. I just feel that way about when you have these plays. It's just been playing the game a long time. It's not true. It just is how it feels sometimes, and I can see it for sure. I like a few of your calls here, though. I definitely like both the Kims at the bottom. I like Tom and Siwoo. I know it wasn't like the craziest week. What did Siwoo end up finishing? Like T17 or something? I thought he was still up there.
He was up there the first couple of days, but after that, I saw him.
I don't know. Yeah. I should have it here. I think 30, maybe it was 39th, actually. Maybe it was worse than I thought. Yeah, it was 39th. He dropped back, but still, before that, I thought he was pretty good. But then, the other point you made. So for me, like those two guys, Hideki, obviously like what you said there. Sungjae, I got a problem. And by the way, Sungjae, I'm not sure if you saw this. You'll love this. This is old school as well. Willie Wilcox on the bag.
On the bag.
Sungjae. That's good shit. That's good mojo right there. Getting Willie Wilcox on the bag this week. I believe this week and next event out. So the next couple of weeks. And then Homa is the guy I would try on again too. I think again, he's at bad course history. I get that. I'm going to talk more on that in 1 second, but just in general, the stats still should suit it. And this would be like a Homa thing to do as well, where doesn't come through at a major because he seemingly never does. And then just now comes back out at a designated event with the elevated field and still shows up. And like, why can't he just do this at the majors? It's crazy. So him and Justin Thomas making fun of their play. JT, by the way, in this group, plus 14 at the U.S. Open. So not his best week.
Well, yeah. JT's done. No JT for me. And Homa, I'm at the point where I play Homa only on Homa courses now. This is not Homa course. He's missed 3 straight cuts. No Homa for me.
Okay. No Homa. That's a good saying. But going back, what I was gonna say about the course history, last year, no John Rahm, no Victor Hovland, no Morikawa, no Fitzpatrick, no Homa.
Yeah, but that should have made it fucking easier for him to make the goddamn cut.
No, this isn't a Max Homa point. I'm arguing what everyone's saying about course history. Like no Hideki, no Cam Young, no Lowry, no Tom Kim, no Adam Scott, no Henley. These guys are actually playing better now. Corey Connors, Min Woo, like all this, the field definitely got stronger is all I'm saying. So it's like, and which is the obvious, but also when people say, oh, you still got to bake it in. It's the #1 course history course. To me, it's not the same at all. Like it's totally different. I always talk about this. I don't think anyone else really talks about this enough. I know some other sites have brought it into play now and you can get the stats on it, but I definitely think strength of field matters more than people ever consider it for, like what they're playing up against. And people will say, oh, that's obvious, but they don't factor it in at all when they're building their quote unquote models or talking about that stuff. And to me, that matters a heck of a lot more. So those are the guys in this range, like I talked about, the Deckies, Tom Kim, Si Woo, and then maybe a little Max Homa, like we said at the top. But really, that's all I got for this range, Kenny.
All right, so let's go down to the 7K, the higher 7K range. I like a lot of these guys. I guess my favorite, probably Min Woo. Another guy, TPC type course, really, that's not like an easy ass TPC course. I mean, this course, I don't think it's gotten, the winning score has been like mid-teens. It hasn't gotten to like 20 in forever. So there is some teeth here to this course. And so I really like Min Woo because you have to be able to shape your shots both ways again. Lots of dog legs. Beat that course. Lots of dog legs. He could get that driving iron and just, hit every fairway. I like Min Woo a lot. This week, the nice top 10 at the U.S. Open. I like Gary Woodland. The iron game is strong. Top 10 again at the U.S. Open strokes gain approach. I like Gary on shorter courses. I know he's known to hit the ball longer, but I like him at shorter courses. I mean, when his U.S. Open at a short pebble. So give me some Woodland here. I like Henley. I like Connors. I like English. All those guys. I mean, my favorites 2 are going to be Min Woo and Gary Woodland, but I'm playing a bunch.
Yeah, I like the Woodland call more. You talked about, we've seen him in the past plenty where he clubs down quite well also. So you talk about that. If he just wants to put it out there into the fairway, then find his shot from there, that's totally okay for this course. And so I think that one makes a lot of sense. Henley is going to be popping everywhere because people are going to talk about him for the stat models. They're going to go down. The history is like 19th, 32nd, 6th, and 11th with a miscut in there. So I think he'll get a lot of conversation here. I like Connors. Danny McCarthy has played really well in these designated or elevated events. Yeah. So I think that's somewhat interesting there. And then my guy right at 7,500, Steven Yeager, who, little known fact, Kenny, you talked about the Furyk 58 here. The Furyk 58 came just hours after, I believe it was in Knoxville, that my guy Steven Yeager popped a 59 on the then web.com tour. He was blowing up on Twitter, getting his 15 minutes of fame back then. And all of a sudden, Furyk just comes out of nowhere and dunks on him with a 58 on the PGA Tour. I mean, that's short-lived 59 for you when a legend like Jimmy Furyk comes through and puts up a 58. But we got to go back to our guy, Steven Yeager bombs here at 7,500. So those are just some of the guys in this range. The Min Woo piece is good because it goes with my strength of field conversation we just had. He's shown up in all the strong fields. That's why we liked him last week at 7,000. He didn't really get that much of a price bump for a guy that came through again and did his job again in a strong field at a tougher course. All these facts, again, people can say what they want about a course. It's tougher than most is what we'll say. Yeah. If it's better than most for certain things, well, this one's tougher than most last week. And so good for him. Another great result.
Him and Gary will be in my top 6 highest owned. There's no doubt about that. But my final cash game cornerstone is actually at 7,500 as well. It's Brian Harman, who at one point held the lead in the first round of the U.S. Open this past week and has finished top 10 in 4 of his last 5 times at this course. I'm going pure course history with form. I know he ended up finishing 43rd, but whatever. If Brian Harman could play, he hit it out there 270 yards and be able to compete and have the lead at the U.S. Open. The form is there, right? So I'm going to go him. So my cash game cornerstones for this week are going to be Cantlay at 10-2. Fleetwood is at what, 9-3. Thigala at 8-3, and then Harman at 7,500. It leaves you like 14-7 left to fill out the rest of your lineup. So those are my cash game cornerstones for the week. If you're going down below, Aaron Rye had a pretty good showing the last time he was out. I can never really get him right, but the stats are popping for me for him at this course with his good play the last time out. So I'll play a little bit of Rye. Austin Eckroat is going to be the darling. If he's like 20% owned, I might just go fade. But I thought that last week with Wyndham Clark and stuff, and that didn't work. So maybe I just play him anyways. But 7,000 chalk worries me, but I still bet him 150 with eight spots each way because the guy's playing really, really good golf. So I mean, the only reason to fade would be ownership. So we'll see where that pans out as the week goes on. Christian Bezidenhout, really good in his last few tournaments out. The last when you go to the last 12 rounds, his stats don't really pop for the 50, but when you go to last 12, it seems to have a little bit more juice and a little bit more positivity here recently when it comes down to it. So I like him. Other guys, did I say Griot? Griot, I think, makes sense. He's going to hit a lot of fairways. He's going to hit a lot of greens. Green regulation, super important at this course. So I do like Griot. And he's really, really good from 150 to 175. That's where a lot of his approaches are going to be since he's a little bit shorter of a golfer. And so he's like top 5 in the field in the last 50 rounds from 150 to 175. So I like Griot. CT Pan, a little bit worried because he doesn't have his clubs. If you follow him on Twitter, his bags are somewhere, but not in Connecticut at this point in time. Hopefully he gets it today or tomorrow, get some practice rounds in, but he had a nice showing the last time out, TPC course. I'm a fan. Let's go a little bit of CT Pan. Tambo, who do you like?
Yeah, one thing I was going to ask you real quick before I did this bottom range was, usually you'll give a fifth man no problem. You have Decky in there, right?
No.
So, I would just really find the $300 and get Thigala out for Decky. I like that. I like Decky better than Thigala. I know he came second here last year, and
I like both. I like both. Now, the problem I have with cash is, I want to play I want Decky to be my highest zone.
But if you're willing to go almost 50% Decky, just play him in your cash
50% Decky would be like 250. It would only be like $125 of my 500. Now, if I used them in cash and did 50% Decky, that would be like $375, which is a lot. I try not to go above $300 for one golf. So
fantasy golf conservatives or fantasy golf degenerates, which is
yeah, no, I know. But I mean, I can't be losing like last week. Like I can't lose $800 a week. You know what I'm saying? Last week I lost like $750. I can't do that every week.
I'm not bringing the cash out story up again.
I'm not a rich man. You know what I'm saying? So I'm super conservative. That's why I play cash. But I like Thigala a lot. Thigala is my second favorite play in the 8K range. So it's not like I'm going down a lot. And because I also want some course history. And if you look at Hideki, I value course history a lot more in cash than I do in GPPs. So if you look at Hideki's chances here the last couple of times, I
haven't even seen you play it since 2012. I've got him never playing it. So how?
Oh yeah. That's the reason why he's not in my cash line.
Okay.
That's the reason why he has zero course history.
He looks pretty healthy though, man. As far as those injury conversations go, he looked pretty healthy. But
he looks fine. Yeah, I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about the injury. The reason I don't have him in cash is because of the course history. Thigala finished runner-up last year, and he made 19 or 20 cuts. So he hasn't missed a cut since the fall. Yeah. So a high floor, high ceiling. I'll go ahead and take that. When it comes to Decky, I think his floor is probably lower than Thigala. When it comes down, he's never played the course before. So, that's something to take into account on a course where the course history is important.
Yeah.
Who do you like in the bottom 7K range?
But bottom 7K, I'm with you on some of the guys. Rye finally, I always play him. He finally came out last time, was solid for me, so I don't mind going back there. Aberg, take another shot on him. I'll get right back to it. Don't care. Just going to play him right now while he's cheap enough. He's a guy that I would definitely see to be more in the future. KH Lee, I like there. Eckroad is a guy I bet like everybody at 200. Some got 250, some got 180, 150 with certain places. But like you said, there's other guys around him. That's the thing. If he gets super popular, it's not just because of the ownership. It's when you have all these names around him that to me are the same. Like Grillo just won a tournament. He's fine. He's at 7,300.
Justin Suh.
So is
another guy who just makes a shit ton of cuts.
All the guys we said above that range. Gary Woodland is a guy I like.
What about Eric Cole playing his 275th week in a row?
Yeah, I wasn't even on him last week. I don't even know. I think he was fine, I guess. What did he finish?
Top 40, I think.
39th. Yeah, he reminds me like last week with Sam Bennett. Everyone victory lapping Sam Bennett after 2 days, and then what happened? See ya. 43rd or something like that. Again, shaved his beard off or his little unit he had on his chin, and then gone. So that's okay. We'll keep doing these things, but that's my take on that stuff. So Eric Cole, great guy, good golfer. This could be a spot for him. Too many names around him, especially if he picks up steam there. Putnam, I'll play at 7,200. Brandon Wu, 7,100. Don't mind him. I was like a little Will Gordon. Again, maybe not the best setup, but I'll go to him. I like him here. Oh, Sam Bennett's here again. Can't wait for Wednesday to talk to Mayo about this one. I'll have 0 Sam Bennett again at 7K. That's no problem. And then, man, Joey B. Bramlett. I always play a little bit of him, but I don't know. Not too many here that I'm making the case for. And the 6K range doesn't get that much better, really, Kenny. Anybody else in this?
There's a couple of guys. I mean, in the 6K range. Seaweed Doug.
Okay.
Seaweed Doug. Probably my favorite play down here. Irons have been fucking incredible. 2 straight top 20s, 3 straight top 30s. Probably the best 3 tournament stretch of his young career. Coming in at 6,900, I'll take that risk, especially how good his iron play has been. Give me some Douglas Kim down there. Once again, Kim is also Kim. It's just in Korean, there is no hard K. So when Korean people move to America, we change our name to Kim. When his parents moved to America, they kept the OG name. They kept the OG, triple OG name, and kept it as Gim. So same last name as me, basically, spelled the same way in Korean. So I like Seaweed Doug. Chesticle Reevy. I mean, Chesticles, you got to go with him. The guy won this event 3 years ago. He loves this course. He hasn't been playing horrible golf. 6,700. I mean, I'm thinking about going him and then somebody else, maybe like Henley or somebody in that upper 7K range, to fill out the rest of my lineups. Right now, I have Henley and Reevy. I don't know if that's what it's going to be. Those are the 2 I just put in first look. And now, which I should probably do, because last week my first look was Reed and Ricky to fill out the last 2 spots in my cash lineup last week. Right. And so I ended up fading Ricky because of ownership. Fucking idiot. And then I ended up keeping Reed. And I went Mito. Mito and Reed. So that fucked me in cash. I had a chance if one of those guys, even with Rose and Scott missing the cut, and Rose was, I don't know, out of the blue. Scott, not so crazy of a miscut, but Rose, I did not see that coming. He almost made the cut on Friday. I was watching him. He got to like 3 under, and need a 3 over. Needed to get one more birdie to make the cut.
He made it. We were doing this live on the Round 2 Showdown show on the Mayo Media Network right here, and
you did get the 2.
And then fell apart.
And then he dropped back.
We were watching it live. I was like, damn, we almost got there, man.
Yeah, but so the guys I like Doug Gim. I like Mark Hubbard. I like Ches Reevy. Nick Hardy, had a pretty decent showing last week at the U.S. Open. Has a team win under his belt. When it comes to stats, pretty good iron play. Pretty well above average all the way around. And then you got Ben Martin, who's going to be the stat darling down here. I don't know if I'm going to play him. But he is a stat darling down at 6,700. Maybe a little bit of David Lipsky. Again, well above average in everything I'm looking for. This week at 6,500, probably the ownership. Who do you like in the 6K range?
There's some guys here. I mean, you could definitely play up at the top. A bunch that you mentioned are ones that I'll take shots on. Like in 6,900, to me, they're just the same as the guys above. So Doug Gim, who you mentioned, Lee Hodges, I like JJ Spawn, Alex Smalley, all four of those guys. And I think Hubbard actually might be the most popular, but again, I like all the guys around him. So I'm okay with that. Bjornbornson, don't forget last year, 4th here. He's a guy that showed up. You want to play a guy that's, we're talking Bennett, Aberg, all those guys. Another guy I'll get to at the bottom, the Bear-Off special that we'll bring up, friend of the pod. Obviously, Bear-Off, fills in for us and helps us out. He gave me one today that I'll talk about in a minute. I like your Nick Hardy call. Ches Reavie. I don't know why I bet it at 400 to 1 with 5 places or whatever, but I got the T40 heavy again because it worked for me last time. And I don't know what his number will be, but I saw they announced him for the Barracuda again, which he won last year. And on a certain site, they had him at 66 to 1. So I took it because I think it'll be way less because it's like you can bet the guy that won it the year before. It's probably about a fair number. I just still wanted to get it just in case they pulled it or he does something more before that. Obviously, a past winner here, different field strength, but still. Dylan Wu, he was kind of showing up for a minute there. I just was trying to see how he actually finished in the end. 32nd, so not the worst. He was 6,400 last week. Price barely changed.
Makes a lot of cuts.
Yeah, I think he plays fine. David Lipsky, another guy there. But I won't remember it all. But Benjamin Bear-Off James, I'm going to call him. Benjamin James, 6,100, local guy. Played in the field last year. They gave him a sponsor's exemption because of this. Good amateur, everything like that. He went 72 and 69 to just miss the cut last year. He's $6,100. Bear-Off was telling me he's done very well recently in his play. Different field strength. I get it. But we're talking about a $6,100 guy. And I believe he's either, I think he's the teammate or best friend of Ricky Castillo, who's the most recent guy to go out on the Corn Ferry Tour and win in his first pro start. We had DDC,
back to back.
ADDC. No. Mm-hmm. Two times on top of Rose's thing, Rosang, and then you had ADDC, who was also in the mix this past week. And then this guy Castillo goes on to get the job done. And I believe Benjamin James is teammates with him. I'd have to double check that. Again, bringing up stuff. Bear-Off knows this stuff way better than I do, but I thought it was a good point that he made from Narrative Street, at least, to bring it up. And actually the odds are tipped a little in his favor. I've already dropped some, so at least some people are interested in this. Maybe it's a better just to make the cut or a top 40, of course. But if you're going to bet him top 40, I think you just play him in DraftKings at 6,100. So give him a shot, Benjamin James.
There's also a lot of course history guys in that 6,200 range. I'm not going to play any of these probably, but Adam Long, Kevin Kisner, Ryan Moore, Kevin Tway, all at 6,200, all with really, really good course history here. But again, like you said, Tambo, a lot weaker fields throughout the way this has gone.
But sometimes they can just find that spark, right? You're right. I actually don't mind the Ryan Moore call, and he pops in the stats quite a bit too. So he would be a double down.
He's the best iron player from 150 to 175 in this field in the last 50 rounds.
And where did he just play well at? Didn't he just play well at a tournament?
Yeah. So, maybe that's someone to look at down there. But those four guys all being around the same price is pretty funny, just because when you look at their course history, they're all pretty damn good. I don't know if I'm going to get to any of them, but if you're looking for somebody at like $200, course history might not be the worst way to go about it.
Ryan Moore, 25th at the RBC Canadian Open just 2 weeks ago. Last event he played was the RBC Canadian Open. He basically shot the same as Sam Bennett there. So he's Sam Bennett for $800 cheaper.
Yep. All right. So bets for this week. I'm starting off Colin Morikawa 25 to 1. Fleetwood 33 to 1. Decky 35 to 1. Tom Kim 50 to 1. And then Austin Eckroat 150 to 1, but 8 places each way.
All right, so far I got all bombs. You may have sold me on like a Decky or a Kawa. I got to go look at one of these guys, or maybe even Tom actually. But all bombs. Jaeger 140, Smalley 150, Spawn 150, Lee Hodges 200, Eckroat 200, and Reavie 400, all with 5 or 8 places depending on the guy. I don't need to list it for each one, but they're all each way with 5 to 8 places. Gives me lots of room to put a hammer down. You know what I considered? I don't know if it's still up. One site had Rahm, I think, at 11 to 1 today. Yeah, still got it. Man, that's the one I would consider. I know Scheffler's right there, probably does it, but Rahm at 11, that could just be jam the rest in and you're good. Like, you know what I mean? Just be done.
I don't hate those plays anymore because these guys these elite guys just they're always in contention.
And they even the 20 to 40 range out so much now. That like might be the only good thing. We still haven't talked about this topic much because again, we're waiting for more news. But if they do get this thing going back where the live guys come back together with the PGA guys eventually, that would be like the one difference that you would still add in. I don't know. They would just probably jam more guys in there, but that's definitely been a bit of a casualty of things where you see now from 20 to 40 is like 20 guys that they just say they're all the same. And it's like, well, that's just not how it you never used to see it that way. And we would get more of a delta between the boards. So it's fine. But just in general, I did notice that. So Rahm being at 11 has my interest. I'll just say that. Go from there.
One and done is going to be Thiegler or Decky for me. Right now I have Thiegler because I feel I can use Decky again later. But Decky's my favorite play. But I do love Thiegler. It's going to be one of those two.
Yeah, I just think use who you got. Like you're down to that. We're getting that. What are we down to here? We got the Rocket Mortgage, the John Deere, the Scottish. Then we got the Open. Then the 3M. Like we're just running out of steam here, right? And some of those guys are not even going to be playing in all of those events. And then you go right into the Wyndham and the playoffs. So for me, use what you got. I like the guys you said if you have those available. Fowler, if you haven't used him yet, I honestly don't think this is going to be like Heartbreak City for Fowler after last week. I just think the way he talked about it, it is what it is. It happens.
I think he can win.
Yeah.
I think he can win.
He's still playing so good that's my point, is that I just don't see it as that. And again, you could say the same thing about Rory, but I do think, I remember they said at the Open last year that he did all his interviews and then they saw him crying as he went into his car with his wife. And I didn't understand it. Like it's tough. It sucks to come second and be right there and have such a close call. So whatever, but I'm saying
Ricky out there after blowing it, just signing fucking autographs,
chilling, man.
Like, that guy is fucking incredible, man. I mean,
I guess to him too, he's went through it so many times that he's just like, all right, another one did not go my way.
Another one,
I'm going to continue to grind. Yeah,
let me make these fucking kids happy. I mean, not many people think like that. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, Rory, like Rahm would be breaking shit. You know what I'm saying? Hatton would be breaking shit. This motherfucker goes out there, plays the worst round of the week, should have won, should have had his first major. And instead of like being all depressed and dour, and he goes to the kid's place and signs all the fucking autographs. What a guy.
Unless he's the best actor ever, which I highly doubt. He is literally like in a way, the modern day Arnold Palmer of like truly caring, just wanting to do what's best for the game, grow it as much as possible. And he means it. And he didn't take the live money.
I think it would have been bigger for the game if he won this past week than Rory.
It would have been.
If Ricky won, if Ricky won the U.S. Open, it would be bigger for the game. It would be more helpful for the game than Rory. You would see all these kids, all these 8-year-olds decking out in the orange and the Puma shit. I mean, you would see that again. Like you would see, it would be amazing.
Rory's thing is definitely, I know we're ranting at the end of the pod, but still Rory's thing is more the media and the critics for sure. Why? Because the guy came out with 4 in his first 25 or whatever, and now hasn't done shit since. And he's been so close. Not say done shit. Rory's incredible.
Do you think he wins a major?
For sure.
Another major.
Yes, not even close.
I do too.
But I do too.
And I think he wins one in about 6 weeks.
Yeah.
I think he wins one in about 5 weeks.
Okay, we'll get to that. But all I would say is the Ricky thing is crazy, is that like you just said, it sounds crazy because it's already happened before. We've seen adults rocking the gear. Myself, I wore Ricky's gear in the past. I got cheered for the guy. I thought it was incredible. And if he came out and did this and won this major, or if he ever does or whatever it is big, because there's people right now that don't even know Ricky is back. I know it sounds like we all listening to this, like, what do you mean? We all know he's been playing good golf. I'm saying, but if he had won that, it would be no question he's back. It would have been on every TV screen. It already was for the whole week. I'm talking about like the winning of the major. It'd be like a whole round trip of like throw a damn parade, do everything. Like it's like a big, huge thing, because it would have just been huge for him, for the game, for finally getting it done, all these factors. Rory is just to appease the media. Rory's to appease the critics of not coming through. There's no kids going, finally, they don't even know Rory had 4 majors.
I mean, like kids in like Ireland and Great Britain probably. But like, but the thing is, like Rory's, I would say, the most popular golfer in the world, even in America.
Yeah. He's very popular. He's very good. Yeah.
But yeah, there's just some things I just don't like about him. Just when it comes down to him, but I feel bad for him now, because basically he got fucking bitch slapped by Monahan and everything, and to go through what he had to do for the last year and be the spokesman for this shit, and then have everyone above you just basically slap you in the face. for all the shit that you said for the last year with zero notice. That's just some disrespectful ass shit. And I think maybe now Ricky is just sick and tired of, not Ricky, Rory's just sick and tired of. He's like, fuck it. I'm just going to go out there and fucking play golf. Fuck this bullshit. I don't want to be the goddamn face of this shit when our leaders are fucking lying to us straight to our fucking face.
Yeah.
So maybe this thing is like like this whole live, PGA merger thing is like exactly what Rory needs, to just not be that guy anymore. Be like, John, Rahm, you take the shit over. This is you now. You know what I'm saying? Do something like that. And just go out there and focus on the game. Rahm could be Valderrama in a week.
This reminded me though, not to cut off, we're trying to get out of here, but Rahm, did you hear his comments as well? He also said something very interesting before this tournament started, the US Open. Something like the PGA Tour has been good to me, and no matter what happens in the future.
It sounded like he's leaving.
It sounded like
he's gone if they let him go.
Shit, man.
Yeah.
It sounds like
Valderrama's in Spain next week. What if Rahm wins this week? And he's like, I'm out. I'm out.
I don't know. He's not happy about
my $250 million.
He's not happy about the Ryder Cup stuff. He's really pissed off. Yeah. And honestly, you mentioned at the start of the season about the chip on the shoulder thing with.
Do you think they're not going to let him on the team? Fuck no, they're going to let him on the team. This is going to get all those euros back. If he leaves and goes to live next week at Valderrama and collects his $250 million from Live, okay, and probably not that much because from what I hear, they only have everything scheduled for 1 year. I hear next year is guaranteed, but that's not even. We don't even know. We don't even know.
There's too much up in the air to know how it would shake out. But I hear.
But if he goes over there, they're going to have to take Live guys into the Ryder Cup. Without Rahm on that Ryder Cup, their chances are slim right now. But in Europe, much better. I'd say 50-50 instead of maybe the 75-25 it was, last time. And even I thought the Euros were still going to win last time just because of the history. But it looks like that's not the truth anymore. The Americans just more dominant. But if you take away Rahm, it's a crappy ass team. Like they probably couldn't even beat the President's Cup team.
I'm excited. I love Ryder Cup. I love President's Cup. I love all this team atmosphere. We're going to be at President's Cup next year. Ryder Cup would be incredible. That's bucket list for sure. This would have been a good one to go to. But anything else, Kenny?
Little Italy.
Let them know where to find you at. Let them know where to find you. We got to get out of here.
Find me on Twitter at KendoVT. You can find my article on gupscorner.com. Use promo code Kenny. Save yourself 30% on a membership to Gups Corner. You know why I'm so talkative right now? Because I ate an edible like 20 minutes ago.
Knew it.
30 minutes
Knew
ago.
It was something. Now we're going to find out an hour from now that it was LSD or something, and he's going to be texting
no. This is my own. This is my own batch.
Okay.
This is my own
safe.
batch.
We're safe, guys. All right. You can find me on Twitter at Totag and Tambo. Hit me up there if you have any questions. The tidbits will be out on Wednesday. As I was talking earlier, somebody took the tidbits last week and won $7,500. So it's a free resource. It's all the best creators around the industry that I can find each week. Take the tidbits, curate them together, put them all in one place. It's free every week, no charge. Check it out on Twitter at Totag and Tambo. And then, of course, shipitnation.com. Co-founded the site with my guy Hoop. Things have been going great. We just passed our 1 month anniversary. Check it out, shipitnation.com. It's got the 6 major sports right now because we just added MMA, all the other big leagues. You can check it out there. Projections, tools, content, everything you need to have success with DFS. On to you, Kenny. Take us home.
The week after a major doesn't fucking matter. Let's win some motherfucking money. Degeneration.
I've been getting dirty money, Jordan Belfort.